Hello, welcome to Life Coaching on the Move podcast. I'm Fiske, your host and life coach that you can take around with you wherever you go, listening to my thoughts, my little tips, strategies, insights and stories that I tell. I often record this on a dog walk, which this intro I am recording this morning, very wet and sloppy, muddy tracks, but beautiful. The birds are singing, so I thought I would do my intro and bring you along with me. One of my podcast listeners told me the other day that she walks her dog whilst listening to this, and because we're both dog walking at the same time, it feels like we're walking together, so that was lovely to hear feedback there. I don't know what you're doing while you listen. You might be driving. This might be something you listen to on the train on the way to work. It might be something you listen to whilst doing your housework and your cleaning, or your dog walking. But welcome. If you're new to this podcast, this is me. I just speak from the heart. I don't script write or anything like that. You just genuinely, authentically get me. If you're a regular listener, thank you so much for coming back. I am so grateful for your loyalty. If you enjoyed today's podcast or any of the podcasts that you find useful, please would you share it with your friends? That's the only thing I ask, really. Share it, let people know where they can find it, or help them and download it, because over half the population still do not know how to download or listen or where to find podcasts. Or perhaps take a screenshot of it and put it on your social media. That would be brilliant. Thank you so much. Today's podcast, we're talking about power, our power, our inner strength. What is your power? What is your inner strength? And we talk about embracing that and using that further once we've recognised what it is. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to crack on with the actual podcast and let you get what's most useful for you out of it. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Today I'm talking about the fact that quite often in January or the beginning of the year, we give ourselves a bit of a overhaul, a little bit of a spring clean. We start to address things and give ourselves an MOT. Now, I use the analogy MOT because many of us now at this time of year are very conscious of our fitness, of physical being. Many of us have started at the gym who may not have been in a gym, may have just got gym membership, or we may have started a new activity, a new class, enrolled for some physical activity pursuit, something like that, where we are trying to consciously address our physical fitness, be it because it's January now, we need to be on a bit of a health kick. That's great. Many of us, on the other hand, or perhaps in addition to that, are working on our physical weight and getting our weight down, or being more mindful of eating more healthily. We might be trying to give up biscuits and crisps and processed stuff. We might be trying to cut down on the snacks or cut down on the processed meats or whatever it is. Or we may just be we may have signed up for Weight Watchers or Slimming World or something like that and be really consciously trying to shed some pounds after the Christmas overindulgence. So we may be focusing on the physical element of that. It might be that we're doing that in combination actually with also the fitness and signing up for the gym or joining a running club or downloading Couch to 5K or signing up for the park run, whatever it is. It may be in combination so that we're approaching everything. Some of us, on top of that, are trying to address our alcohol intake. We may well be trying to do dry January or just cut down how much we're drinking and cutting back after the overindulgence at Christmas. Or we might have decided we're not going to drink alcohol during the week, only at weekends, or so on. So that we're trying to address our health and physical being through the means of lower alcohol intake, or no intake for the whole of January if we're doing dry January. So that's good too. And don't get me wrong, I am behind all of these things. Anything for self-development, self-improvement, personal growth, I'm right behind them all. Some of us, perhaps less of us, are also focusing on stress management. We might be consciously trying to reduce our stress at the moment. We might recognize the fact that it is affecting our immune system. We might recognize the fact that our long-term stress is affecting our sleep, our well-being. It may be causing us to be more emotional, too much stress. It may be causing us to perform inefficiently at work, and overall performance is being detrimentally affected by our stress. Our relationships might be being affected by our stress, our eating habits, our overall wellness and well-being. We may have recognized it's being affected, and would be, if this is the case, by long-term stress. And so we may actually be focusing on consciously reducing our stress levels in order to improve our sleep, our performance, our well-being, our mood, our diet and appetite, our health, our well-being, our relationships, our friendships, and just general enjoyment and sort of overall well-being in life. If you are trying to do that and you don't know how, by the way, just as a side issue, and I hadn't planned to say this, I do have a stress management long workshop online program for sale on the website www.milestone-coaching.co.uk. Click on online programs. It's one of my online programs that is for sale. It's at the reduced amount of £199 at the moment, and that is so much cheaper than seeing me for 7 sessions, because that's basically what it is. It's 7 modules over a at least 7 week period of time for you to address all your stress, or your friends if you're buying it for a loved one, or colleagues if you're buying it for a member of your team. So if you are trying to address stress, that may well be a program to look at. However, let me carry on. That wasn't the idea. So if you are working on your stress levels, that is phenomenal. I'm so pleased, because 110% behind you. If you can sort your stress out, you will overall improve everything in your life in the things that I have mentioned. Some of us, with our spring clean or sort of January approach or fresh start for the year, may be thinking about improving their sleep, and that again I completely support. It's one of the best ways of improving our immune system, our overall mood, our mental health. It is related to so many things. There's so much research out there now suggesting that it's related to our appetite and our diet and our weight. There's lots of evidence to show it's affecting mental illness. There's loads of research out there to support the idea that it may even be associated with dementia and Alzheimer's. Sleep is the natural way of boosting the immune system, getting better, feeling better, rebalancing ourselves, improving everything. So if you're not looking at your sleep and how to improve it, that might be an area to focus on. And there are 1 or 2 of my earlier episodes on that, the beauty of sleep. And I may well dedicate some more episodes to that in the future, because it is so important. I might well start to pull some more stuff together on that, because I think it's crucial. And that's good too. So if you're focusing on improving your sleep, I completely support you. So in a way, if we're doing any of those things, or more than one of those things, then that is superb. Pat on the back for you, hats off to you, and I think that is a tremendous thing to be doing. So it's in a way like giving yourself an MOT on your car. You're giving yourself a good MOT. It's good self-care. And that is one thing I would wholeheartedly encourage. However, if you're not also focusing on your mind and your mindset and your thoughts and your habit thinking and the patterns that you're running in your mind, and focusing on improving those as well, then in a sense you're missing out a massive part of the self-care. In a way, it's like giving yourself an MOT on your car, but overlooking the brakes, not attending to such a crucial area. So if you are at this time of year, or any time of the year, whenever you're listening to this, keen on self-development and self-improvement and shaking things up and finding deeper happiness, more satisfaction from life, reaching your potential or realizing your potential, achieving all your goals, feeling well, feeling happy, feeling strong. If you're trying to do that, then the mindset's got to be in all of that as well. If you're only focusing on your physical being this year and just signed up for the gym, great, but you're missing something fundamental. If you're only signing up for a diet or thinking about your nutrition and improving your food intake and your fuel intake, brilliant. But again, if you're not doing it and also addressing your mindset, you're fundamentally leaving a gaping gap in terms of your personal development and what you might achieve this year. If you want to make this year a great, great year, and you can, without a doubt, you're in the driving seat, as I've said so many times before. If you want to do that, then you need to also work on your mind. And this is a work in progress. It's a work in progress for me. I am always doing this. And we kind of get off course sometimes, a bit like a pilot flying a massive jumbo jet from Heathrow across to New York. The planes are constantly getting slightly off target, off track, off course, that's the phrase. And so the pilot is constantly just tweaking it back onto course. And so they do take off from Heathrow and they do land in New York. If they weren't to bring it back on course, of course, they wouldn't reach New York. They'd reach a totally different destination. And that's a bit like us. That's how I see my own personal development. I am mindful of alcohol, I am mindful of food and nutrition and weight and diet, I am mindful of my physical fitness because I know how much that affects my mental health. At the moment I've got a foot injury, my heel is really painful, and every single step that I take walking the dog, let alone running, and running is excruciating. So at the moment I can't run, and I know how that is affecting me. It's causing me huge frustration. I'm not burning off my adrenaline, I'm not burning off my energy or my stress and all the surplus adrenaline in my body. So I'm finding other means of doing that. I'm going on the cross trainer and doing more yoga and things like that. So I'm filling that gap, but it isn't giving me that endorphin rush that I get from running, and it's not either getting me to see my running mates, who is a big part of my social life, catching up with them, how their week's been, their work, their families, my work, my family, everything, just having a laugh together as we run along. It's so, I know how important running is for me in so many ways. I'm still getting vitamin D, I'm still getting fresh air, I'm still getting exercise with the dog walking, albeit it's painful. So those things are still being met, but I miss it horribly. So I know what it's doing for me, that frustration. But I'm on it. I'm seeing an osteopath, trying to sort it out, trying to sort of get back on that horse, as it were. So all of this stuff that I say in these podcasts apply to me too. I'm always talking to my own subconscious when I'm talking to you. It's always a reminder for me and a refresher and an opportunity to reflect further for me. So we never reach the destination. We never actually arrive at full, sorted, done, properly confident, properly healthy, properly satisfied with everything. We are constantly evolving, constantly improving, tweaking, bringing our life back on course, etc. So I do all of this stuff myself as well, which is why I think a weekly podcast is so good for you, for me, for everybody, because it is work in progress for all of us. So if we want to reach our full potential and have a superb year this year, we need to do all of those things, but we also need to work on our mind. And I mentioned in one of the previous episodes just recently having that booklet, that notebook dedicated to this, or like a journal to keep note of things, just record things down and notice patterns, notice good patterns, unhelpful patterns, make changes. You can reflect on things in that way. Or you can do it by talking to people. I've got certain people that I meet up with as often as I can who are running their own little businesses. So we exchange notes and ideas and learnings that we've
we found ourselves on, say, marketing, or on the different social media platforms that we've discovered, or different apps that we've discovered that we can use for work, or different ways of sending out notifications or chimp mails, or teaching each other what's worked on our website by changing our website, or updating this, or changing the parameters, or changing Google Ads, or using different means of getting out messages to our followers, etc. So we're kind of mentors to each other, because when you work by yourself, like I do, running your own company or your own business, you haven't got people to run ideas past or bounce ideas off. So we sort of mentor each other and support each other and get ideas from each other and learn from each other. So that endorses one of my other podcasts, which is the importance of having connections. We've got to connect with people, even if it's just to have a laugh and a chat and talk to each other. Yesterday or the day before, I did a mental health sort of well-being talk in a school for all of the staff, about 40 or 50 staff, and they do this every third week. They'll have a get together every third week where they'll have either a guest speaker, or they'll do something with each other, for each other, just to support each other, because in teaching it can be quite, you're in your own classrooms doing your own thing. So they have a kind of regroup session, and they were saying that the last one, 3 weeks ago, although Christmas fell in between all of that, they just sat and ate cake and had coffee and sat for an hour and just talked. And I think that's a brilliant thing to do. We've got to have those connections. We've got to share ideas, share experiences, pour your heart out to other people, or have a good laugh with other people about something you've done or they've done or whatever. Just actually be with people, looking them in the eye, feeling their energy, laughing with them, sharing stories with them, sharing experiences with them and learnings with them, not just relying on your WhatsApp group or to connect with them. It's got to be far deeper than just social media. It's got to be actually getting in each other's, if you want to call it, your auras, your energies, just get vibes off people, just contact and connection. So today I was thinking about power. It's a funny word, power. Strength, I guess, is what I'm talking about. But the one question I wanted to put to you is, where do you feel most powerful in your life? Or your strongest? What is the strongest element in your life? Because we don't get our strength from our car, the car that we drive, or the seniority that we've reached in our role in our organisation or our company, or with how much money we're making in our business, or the house that we've got, the great looking house that we've got. We don't get power from that. If we do get any kind of sense of power, it's temporary anyway, because it's all very external. I'm talking about the internal power, the internal strength, I guess, is what I'm talking about. That's the long term. The other stuff is short lived, if at all. So where are you most powerful in your life, or when are you most powerful and strongest in your life? Because even just knowing that makes you feel better. Even just really deeply considering that makes you feel good. And that's what I want for you today. I want you to feel good about all your fitness, your health, and all the stuff that you're working on, and remind you to also work on your mindset in order for you to feel really good. The big picture, an all-round service and MOT. It might be that you feel really good solving problems. You're at your best when you've been given a meaty problem, or someone's got a problem, and you come up with a solution. You're really good at solution mentality. That might be when you're at your best. Or it might be your best at decision making. There's lots in the family or in your team or in your department or in your company, lots of umming and ahhing and umming and ahhing, lots of discussion and lots of toing and froing, but you're the one that's great at just making that decision, making a decision in your life and sticking to it. That might be your strength. It might be organisational skills. You might be at your best when you're organising stuff, and you might feel really good about that. You know it's your strong point. You get in there, you take the ball by the horns, and you just organise things. You sort it all out. Or it might be that you're naturally the social secretary of your group. You might be the one that always sends out the message on WhatsApp group and get everybody chivied up together, send out those emails, book that table, get everybody sorted, who's driving, who's not, who's picking who up, where you're going, etc. You might be the one that pulls everybody together. So what is it for you? Is it your ability to organise, or to make decisions, or to solve problems, or be the creator, or the strategist? I can never say that word. What I'm trying to say now today is, once you know what your strength is, you feel really good about it. Once you realise that, you feel great. But actually, I am really, really good at that. I am happy when I'm doing that. I am at my best when I'm doing that, when I'm taking the lead in the group of all of us. When we're all out socialising, I'm the one that naturally takes the lead, and you feel good about that. And that's great. Once you know that, now I'm thinking about how can you maximise it? How can you expand it? Is it something that you use in your job because it's part of your job, or not? Because actually it may be a natural strength and ability that you have because you run a family, or you run a home or something, or you're on a committee at the school, or you help a charity, but you've never thought about using it on your CV, harnessing it, embracing it, and transferring it into your line of work. Because lots of people that come to me for career coaching and career help, they don't realise that sometimes some of the stuff that they do for their charity, or their committee that they're a member of, or the school, or their family, or things, particularly mums who are stay-at-home mums at the moment, don't realise what sorts of natural skills they're using in their homes with their families all the time. Juggling things, they're spinning plates all the time because they've got 3 children and they've got to get them all to different activities and schools, and sort their classes out, and their kit and their uniform and all the things they need for school tomorrow. They don't realise that actually what they're drawing on there is natural organisational skills, natural decision making. And so they come to me saying, well, I've been out of the work world for a long time, raising children for the last 8 years or something. I haven't got any skill set. Yes, you have. Yes, you absolutely have. You've just got to be able to get that down on a CV, describe it to a potential employer in an interview, convince them that actually what you do, you are superb at spinning all those plates, superb at remembering everything, organising everything, leading everything, decision making and so on. And that you could use to your employer's benefit. 100% bring that skill forward and maximise it and capitalise it. So what I'm saying here is, where are you most powerful and strongest naturally? Are you currently using it in work? And if not, should you, I don't often use that word should, but ought you to be using that and recognising it? And how can you maximise it further? How can you really acknowledge that that's one of your skills and maximise it further? Put yourself into environments and situations where that strength, or strengths, because you will have more than one, so work out what they are, they can come to the fore. You're in your element, you're doing it. Equally, you can look at where your weaker areas are, where you're not so good, where you might end up naturally turning to somebody else, husband or wife, the kids even. Can you help me with this? So I don't know what I'm doing. Quite often I'll ask the kids about IT issues, and I know that that's one of my weaknesses. Actually, I've been asking my teenager to teach me how to use Instagram for business, and he won't. I'm sure he won't, because he doesn't want me on Instagram, either following him or embarrassing him. So I need a teenager to teach me how to use Instagram for work. So that's my weak area. So because I know that now, and I'm certain I can find somebody who's willing to teach me and doesn't feel threatened by it, so I can fill that gap and make it my strength. As I said, we already a couple of us mentor each other in a way, unspokenly. It's an unspoken thing where we give each other ideas and, oh, I've learnt this, have you? And teach them so that their little business or organisation can benefit as a result. So again, I'm back to what I said in a previous episode. We've got to self-reflect, look at what our strengths are, our natural strengths, and how we can maximise them further, and where we can use them even more, perhaps to monetize them, One lady that I was working with just loves writing. In fact, she may well be listening to this podcast. She'll know who she is, if she is. She loves writing. She always has loved writing. And we were talking about perhaps her starting a blog. And because she loves it so much, use it. I love presenting. I love talking to people. I wouldn't do my job if I didn't. But I naturally love talking to people. I love hearing their lives. I love going on a journey with them. I love solving or helping them to solve the issues that they're facing and progressing together. But I love communication. I love the English language. I love the power of the word. And so for me, podcasts and radio, when I've been on the radio and when I present in front of workshops and audiences, I love that. Of course, it's nerve-wracking, both in terms of what kind of audience are you going to get, how you're going to handle it. You don't know what's quite coming at you. When you're on the radio, they don't tell you what they're going to next fire at you when they're in between records or tracks. They don't tell you, I'm going to ask you about so-and-so and so-and-so and give you some warning. They just throw it to you live, which is scary, but fun. And equally, you know, when I'm working with clients, I don't know what's going to come up next, but that's when I'm in my element, thinking on my feet. And I love that. It's risky doing a podcast because you may not appeal to everybody. You may get rejected by people. You may get judged and criticised. And that's absolutely fine too, because there's enough room out in the world for all of us. I will appeal to some people and not to others, and that's fine. Those others will prefer a different podcaster, and that's fine too. It doesn't matter. We've all got to take those risks. It is scary, but what's the point of sitting at home with a natural skill that we enjoy that a couple of other people might find helpful? And it's worth it if just one or two people have found it helpful and useful. Then it's worth the risk and putting our neck on the line, really. So what I'm saying today is to really, really watch yourself in the next week. Observe yourself, like that silent observer again, and notice, when are you at your best? When do you feel most powerful, most strong? And what are you doing in those circumstances? What skill is it that you're using? And is it a skill that you could expand on further and use it in your career or in your business or in your life further? What does it look like when you're feeling powerful and strong like that? What does it feel like when you're tapping into it? Equally, on the other side, when are you weaker? When do you feel most inadequate is the wrong word, but most on the back foot? Like me with IT and things like that. It's not my strength. I know that. But I'm prepared to ask for help. And that's good. That's not a weakness. That's a strength. I've just got to find the right person to ask for help. So that I can turn my weakness round and make it my strength. I don't have to give in to it. I don't have to let that define me and become me. I can address it. So that is what I'm thinking for you for self-reflection this week, to be mindful of your mindset and to give that some more attention, which you obviously are, or you wouldn't be listening to a podcast like this. So it tells me that you're already open to that idea. So do it alongside all the physical improvements that you're making. Make it the icing on your cake. Make it an addition to all of that. And then find out what your strengths are and expand on them further, and where can you use them in other areas. Find out what your more weaker areas are, and think about how you can turn those around and address them and make them stronger, make them less of a weakness, more of a strength. So because happiness starts from you, it's within you, it's not external, it's not the house, it's not the car, it's not the next holiday. Although of course you get happiness on your holiday and things like that, don't get me wrong, but happiness doesn't come from those things, it comes from within. So if you can sort what's inside there and help that along, develop that further, give it some good attention, constantly be working on it, as I am and many of us are, but more so, then we are continually expanding our mind, we're continually expanding our skill sets, our openness to try things, our openness to be vulnerable, our openness to take risks. They're all good things. They prove to ourselves that we're alive. They make our heart beat faster. that's a good sign. They keep us alert, they open us up, they wake us up, they excite us. And I think we've got to go for that. That's only a good thing. That's got to be a good thing. So build on your successes. Keep going further. It's like adding another little layer of icing on that cake. Smooth it off, add some more, fill in those gaps. Make your weaknesses your strengths. And I want to just wish you a good and successful and a happy week. Now, bearing in mind, I've just said that you've got to focus on your mind and your thoughts and your skills, your mindset, as well as all the physical. I wanted to give you all an offer, which I haven't opened up on my website to direct inquiries. To anybody that goes through my website, just finding me on Google or seeing an advert won't get this offer. I'm only offering it to my podcast listeners because I recognise that each week you listen in and you're showing commitment, and I want to just appreciate and acknowledge and thank you all for that. So for my podcast listeners only, I'm currently offering 10% off 2 coaching sessions. So if you are interested in having one-to-one coaching, and by that I mean either face-to-face if you're local to the Basingstoke area, or if you're further afield and you can't geographically get to me, then FaceTime, Skype or telephone coaching. So it's not a problem if you're abroad, it's not a problem at all. But if you contact me and want to book 2 coaching sessions and you quote the words, I haven't actually even planned the words, Millie, that's my dog's name. If you quote in your email or your inquiry the words Millie, MILLIE, I will give you 10% off the cost of those 2 coaching sessions. And I'm only offering that to my podcast listeners. So general inquiries via the internet will not know my dog's name. So if you quote me the word Millie, I will give you 10% off the coaching session cost. If you would like to really tailor the coaching content, and so that we can do it for all the issues that you're facing, your specific issues, rather than this more blanket approach. So feel free to drop me an email and quote the word Millie somewhere in that email or in the subject heading in order to book your coaching session. My email address is dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk, or visit the website www.milestone-coaching.co.uk, and you can click on contact me, or there's lots of different contact boxes that you can look at. Have a look through the website, there's loads going on there, all sorts of things. And in particular, if you're addressing stress at the moment, then look at the online stress program that you can purchase online through the website and make online payments, and it's then downloaded into your inbox, or you're given a code or something, and you get all 7 modules which you then own, and you can keep going back to them whenever you want for years to come, for reminders, refreshers, all sorts. So it's a 7-week program. It's basically equivalent to 7 sessions with me, or more actually, possibly, and is therefore much cheaper than 7 sessions one-on-one with me, and you can do it at your own pace, your own time, and have it forever. So that as well is on the website. Have a little look at that. So I will look forward to hearing from you with the words Millie. Even if you're listening to this months ahead in the summer or something, I will still honour that. Now I've said that, I will continue to honour that for 2 coaching sessions. So other than that, I want to wish you all a really strong and powerful week, drawing on your already existing strengths and recognizing them and celebrating them and using them more, expanding on them further and applying them in other parts of your life where you wouldn't have, perhaps, including your career, and noticing where you feel less powerful and dare I say weaker, and then consciously addressing those weaknesses, learning things around them, the learning strategies in order to improve them, in order to fill those gaps, so that those weaker areas become your strengths as well. So that all in all, from this podcast, by working on this, you will feel much more powerful and will grow your power and inner strength further. So all the very best. Have a really strong and powerful week, and I will speak to you on the next episode of Life Coaching on the Move. All the best.